Good evening, everyone. It's me, Tracy, here. I'm back in Phoenix, which is fantastic. I definitely miss the desert. Today, I want to go live and talk to you about what elopements are, who elopes, essentially the who, what, when, where, why of elopements. So, I recently went home to North Carolina and I got a lot of the same question. Why are you shooting elopements? Isn't that just people who want to run away and get married? And in my personal opinion, and all this is my opinion and my experience in the industry so far, is that that's probably the furthest from the truth. So I want to talk about first who elopes. I think that people who elope are usually couples that are super avid about being outdoors, traveling. Some live in vans, some don't have a home base but don't live in vans and just move around. A lot of people maybe on their second marriages, people in their first marriages who don't have huge families or don't have family support. But a lot of people plan their elopement, so it's not just a hey, let's run away kind of thing. I find a lot of couples plan these huge weddings, get overwhelmed by it, find that, this isn't worth their time and energy because it's becoming about their friends and family instead of about them and their love story. Um, it's a lot of people who maybe are concerned about our planet. Weddings do tend to cause a lot of trash and harm to our environment. If you look it up, you may be shocked at some of the stats. I know I definitely was the first time I learned about how much trash is produced just at one wedding. So it's a mix of people, and a lot of times maybe it is about the finances of it, but a lot of times it isn't. A lot of couples who elope are still spending a lot of money to get the permits to shoot in national parks. They're usually still buying a wedding dress that's really nice and beautiful. Silk tends to be a popular choice because it flows very well in the wind. Um, and the photography, photography for elopements aren't cheaper necessarily than for weddings. So I think sometimes it can be about money, but I think that's not the overall factor. I think that it's a huge misconception that couples running away and in a hurry and finances are not the number one reasons to elope. So that's my who. And if you have any questions during this, please ask. I will happily answer anything. I'm really excited to kind of hear maybe what questions other people have other than who I've ran across back home and since moving to Arizona. So now I want to talk about why elope. Why go get married, have no one there, and maybe surprise people or not surprise people. So I think for me personally, if I was to become engaged, I would want to elope because I'm a very private person and I think that marriage should be private. I don't necessarily want to say my vows in front of 100 of our closest friends and family. So I think that's a huge reason to have the space and privacy to just tell your partner everything you're going to promise them and all the reasons that you want to marry them. I think also a lot of it has to do from a photographer's perspective, the images. As a photographer, I get the chance to make beautiful creative photos that you can print huge as a fine art image on your wall, and I think that's really awesome to be able to have in your home as a couple and as a family. So I think that's definitely a thing. A lot of these couples travel a lot, so they want to be in these beautiful places and not cooped up in a venue with rules. There's no rules. You make all of your own rules, so that's a huge reason to be able to do it. There's less stress, less restrictions, less trying to please everybody else, and it's all just about you and your partner at that point. Another reason, which we discussed in the who, is environmentally, it's a lot more friendly. You're not producing as much waste as a wedding. Another reason, which I think is super awesome, is that you can combine your wedding with your honeymoon. So if you are coming in from Asia and you want to honeymoon here in California and travel and go to Vegas and go to the Grand Canyon and hit all those really top popular spots, you can come here and elope. If you're an American couple and you want to go to Iceland for your honeymoon, you can go elope in Iceland. That tends to be a really popular spot for elopements currently. It's just the options are endless, really. So I think that the why is that you get to really make it your own. Like just you and your partner get to make all of your decisions and do whatever you want to do. You can have a 3-second ceremony and go take pictures all day, or you can talk to each other and have your vows be an hour long. It's just up to you. Okay, so we've covered the who, we've covered the why. Now, what exactly is an elopement? Elopements come in many different forms just because there are so many options and no really rules. So a lot of elopements that I shoot are considered adventure elopements, and what that looks like is a couple will pick a spot. Typically we'll hike anywhere from 1 mile to 10 miles. I've seen couples elope and do a 30-mile hike. I mean, it's really up to you. But typically we'll set out. You choose a location to hike to. You can say your vows there. You can have a spot designated, or we can go to a park, and then whatever spot feels right to you, that's where you can say your vows to each other. Some couples will do all their paperwork in the courthouse prior to coming out, or some couples will have an officiant come out to where they're eloping, and so that creates a rule too, whether or not, okay, is your officiant going to hike with you to your location, or do they not want to hike, and then you kind of make some decisions based off of that. National parks tend to be a huge spot for elopements, and I think they're great for it. Designated trails, it's great. But a lot of times with the elopements, you are going to hike in the dark to avoid those crowds. Sunrise and sunset tend to be the best times to be able to go out and do that, and not have sunrise. You're going to have less people on the trails than sunset. But so weddings tend to go 6 to 10 hours. So what about elopements? Hello. Elopements can be 1 hour. They can still be those 8 hours. You can go to multiple locations. We can just do your vows, take a few pictures, and that's it. You go about your day and do whatever you want for the rest of your day. Or you can shoot all day, which I recommend because, I mean, if you're going to do it, do it. Some people elope completely alone, just the couple, and then some people bring 1 to 8 guests. It's just totally up to you. That's the beauty of it. Some people would do a formal dinner at the end of the day. Some people will just go to a restaurant with just them. It's really, I mean, I'm telling you, the options are endless. One of my favorite aspects of it is the getting ready is a lot less formal. So you can get ready at an Airbnb together or separate and still do that first look. You can get ready at a campsite. You can get ready at the park, on the trail. I mean, it's really a unique experience, which I think, in my opinion, weddings don't create anymore. It's become very much so what's on Pinterest. What can I do? My family wants me to do this. My friends want me to do this. I need to do this. And at the end of the day, it's a scheduled thing that's not relaxing. I've had so many couples tell me they don't even remember part of their wedding because they were so stressed out. And that's not how you should want to start your marriage. I mean, tomato, tomato, whatever you want to do. This is just me and my experience and what I'm really passionate about. So, you know, that's kind of my thing. So, I don't know. But I hope this answered some questions you may have about elopements. I didn't know that this was a thing 2 years ago. I started my business in February and kind of just jumped right in because I fell in love with everything about it. For me, I really recommend anyone that's engaged to at least think about it. if you have a super close family and you want to get married in front of them, a lot of people are still doing the traditional wedding, so we'll also do like a day after session, or leave and go take their pictures somewhere else. I think the day after sessions are really cool for the couples who want to stay traditional. I'm finding a lot of people are doing anniversary sessions 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10 years down the road after their wedding, which is essentially the same thing. You're getting in a dress, you're spending the day with your partner, you're talking to them, you're in a beautiful place, and then you get pictures out of it. So I think that it's a huge thing out here in the West. And when I was home, I was kind of shocked at how many people were like, we don't know what you're talking about, what's elopement? So I think it will grow out there slowly, hopefully. I know North Carolina has some beautiful places for it. And if, hello, and if you don't, you can always travel to elope. A lot of people are doing it. It's awesome. Some places I really recommend and love shooting at for elopements is Joshua Tree, Yosemite, Big Sur. I love Smith Rock. I think it's not a blown up place yet. Like, you have a lot of places where people are eloping a lot, like Yosemite. The photo just went viral of the proposal there. It's becoming a huge spot for it, which is awesome. And if you want those grand photos, that's a place for it. I hiked Taft Point at sunrise. I set out once the sun had already peaked, and I was the only person on the trail just a few weeks ago. So it's still pretty private, and a lot of these parks are big enough where you can say your vows somewhere more private and less grand gesture, and then do your photos there later. So it's just I think we get caught up in what relationships should be and what weddings should be and what marriages should be. And I think it's really important to take a step back and think about, okay, well, this is the day that you're going to just commit yourself to your partner forever. And I think that it's important to explore all your options. I mean, this is the day. And if you can spend that privately with your partner and really express everything you want to and have a magical day, do it. You can always combine things. Like, you can always go elope and then come back and do a reception. So just keep your options open. If you're interested in it and have questions I wasn't able to answer, just shoot me a message. I'll put the answers out in my story. If you're doing some research or you get engaged 6 months from now, just reach out. I'm always happy to help people and educate them in anything I can. So thanks for hanging out with me this evening. I will post in my Instagram some of the answers in case you missed this and want to hear about it. So thanks, everybody. I look forward to be back in the desert with you all, and I'll be in touch.